There's someone in your life who makes you feel like you're losing your mind. Not every day, not even most days, but just enough to keep you guessing, just enough to keep you trying, just enough to keep you staying. Some days, they are the warmest, most loving person you have ever known. They make you feel seen, special, like you finally found your person. And then, without warning, they go cold. No explanation, no apology, just distance. And somehow, in ways you still can't fully explain, you end up apologizing for things they did, for feelings you had every right to feel, for simply existing in a way that inconvenienced them. And the worst part? You started to wonder if it was your fault. It wasn't. You're not too sensitive. You are not overreacting. You are not crazy. You are being manipulated. And today, we are going to pull back the curtain on every single tactic being used against you, name them, explain them, and give you the tools to protect yourself from everyone. This is human algorithm, and this is how the human mind gets hijacked. There are 7 manipulation tactics in this video. Some of them are going to be uncomfortable to hear, not because they're shocking, but because you're going to recognize someone. Maybe someone from your past, maybe someone in your life right now, maybe, and this is the part that takes real courage to consider, maybe yourself. None of this is about blame. It's about clarity, because you cannot protect yourself from a weapon you cannot see. So let's turn on the lights. Tactic number 1, gaslighting. You remember exactly what happened, in the exact words, the exact tone, the exact look on their face, and they look at you completely calm and say, that never happened. You're being dramatic. You always do this. You twist everything. And for a moment, just a moment, you wonder if they're right. That moment of doubt, that's the goal. Gaslighting is the systematic dismantling of your trust in your own perception. The name comes from a 1944 film where a husband secretly dims the gas-powered lights in his home, then tells his wife she's imagining the flickering. Over time, she stops trusting her own eyes. That's exactly what this tactic does in real relationships. It doesn't attack your body, it attacks your mind's ability to trust itself, your memory, your judgment, your sanity. Repeated gaslighting doesn't just confuse you, it rewires you to be dependent on the gaslighter to tell you what's real. And that dependency, that's exactly what they're building. How to protect yourself, start keeping a private record, notes, voice memos, screenshots, saved messages. Not because you're paranoid, but because your memory is reliable and you deserve evidence of that. If someone consistently makes you feel like your reality is wrong, trust the pattern, not the denial. You're not imagining it. Someone is working very hard to make you believe you are. Tactic number 2, love bombing. In the beginning, it felt like a dream. They called constantly, texted good morning before you were even awake, told you they'd never felt this way about anyone, made you feel chosen, like out of every person on earth, they picked you. The attention was overwhelming, but in the best possible way. Or so it seemed. Love bombing is the deliberate flood of affection, attention, flattery, and intensity designed to bypass your natural instinct to take things slow. Here's what's actually happening in your brain when this occurs. The intense positive experience triggers massive releases of dopamine and oxytocin. These are the chemicals behind pleasure, reward, and bonding. The person doing this becomes chemically associated with safety, excitement, and love. Before you've had nearly enough time to evaluate whether they're actually safe, by the time the behavior shifts, and it always shifts, the attachment is already formed. You're hooked, chemically, emotionally, and you don't fully understand why you can't just leave. How to protect yourself. Real love builds at a pace that respects your comfort. It doesn't demand rapid vulnerability. It doesn't pressure exclusive commitment within days. When someone moves intensely fast, that's not passion, that's a strategy. The person who truly deserves you will still be there after you've taken your time. Tactic number 3, the silent treatment. They've gone quiet. No texts back, no calls returned, no acknowledgement that you even exist. And you're spiraling. You replay every conversation from the last 3 days looking for what you did wrong. You send one more message, softer this time, more apologetic. You wait, and then finally they respond. And you feel so relieved that you completely forget what the conflict was even about. That relief is the point. The silent treatment is not absence. It is a weapon. Psychologist Kipling Williams spent years studying social exclusion and found that being ignored activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. The manipulator knows this, even if only instinctively. They're causing you real pain on purpose to make you more compliant when they decide to return. How to protect yourself. There's a critical difference between someone who needs space and someone using silence as a weapon. Healthy withdrawal sounds like, I need some time to process. I'll come back to this tomorrow. Punitive silence sounds like nothing because it's designed to make you fill the void with apologies. You're not responsible for managing someone else's silence with your suffering. Tactic number 4, guilt tripping. You set a boundary, a completely reasonable one. You said no, or you asked for something you needed, or you simply did something for yourself, and they looked at you with those eyes and said, "After everything I've done for you, I guess I just don't matter. Fine, I'll just handle everything myself, like always." And now you're not thinking about your boundary. You're thinking about how to fix their feelings. Feelings that, by the way, you did not cause. Guilt tripping is the use of manufactured or exaggerated emotional suffering to override your autonomy. It works because most people with healthy empathy genuinely cannot stand the feeling of having hurt someone they care about. The manipulator has learned, consciously or not, that displaying pain is the fastest shortcut to compliance. Here's the key distinction that changes everything. Genuine hurt says, "When you did that, I felt this. Can we talk about it?" Guilt tripping says, "Look what you did to me." One opens a conversation, the other closes your choices. How to protect yourself. Before you apologize, pause. Ask yourself one honest question. Did I actually do something wrong, or did I simply do something for myself? Those are not the same thing, and you are allowed to exist without managing everyone else's emotional reaction to your existence. Tactic number 5, DARVO. You finally said something. You built up the courage. You chose your words carefully. You stayed calm. You explained clearly and kindly how their behavior affected you. And somehow, by the end of the conversation, you were the one apologizing. How does that keep happening? It's called DARVO, an acronym identified by psychologist Jennifer Freed. It stands for deny, attack, reverse, the victim and offender. Here's how it works. You raise an issue, they deny it happened, then they attack your character, your motives, your history of behavior. Then they flip the script entirely, positioning themselves as the true victim of your confrontation. And suddenly, you're not discussing what they did. You're defending yourself against accusations you never saw coming. And out of guilt or exhaustion, you end up consoling the person who hurt you. It is one of the most disorienting tactics in existence because it weaponizes your own courage against you. The moment you speak up, the conversation gets hijacked. How to protect yourself. Write down what you need to say before difficult conversations. If the conversation derails into an attack on your character within the first few minutes, name it calmly. "I hear that you're upset, but I still need us to talk about what I raised." DARVO collapses when you refuse to abandon your original point. Stay on the issue every time, no matter how many detours they create. Tactic number 6, intermittent reinforcement. You can't explain why you can't leave. On paper, it's clear. The relationship hurts more than it helps. The evidence is overwhelming. Your friends can see it. Your family can see it. Some days, on your best days, you can see it too. But then there are the good moments, and the good moments feel so good that they erase everything. And you stay, and you hope. And the cycle begins again. This is not weakness. This is not stupidity. This is your brain responding exactly as it was designed to respond. Psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered something crucial about reward and behavior. Animals and humans that receive rewards unpredictably become far more persistent in reward seeking than those rewarded consistently. Random reward creates obsessive pursuit. Casinos are built on this exact principle. You don't keep pulling the slot machine because it always pays out. You keep pulling it because it doesn't. The next pull might be the jackpot. A person who is sometimes loving and sometimes cruel does the same thing to your brain. The unpredictability doesn't weaken the attachment, it deepens it into something psychologists call a trauma bond. How to protect yourself? Stop evaluating the relationship by its peaks. Evaluate it by its pattern. Anyone can have a good moment. The question is, what surrounds it? You deserve more than gambling for affection. Tactic number 7, moving the goalposts. You did what they asked. You changed. You worked on yourself. You showed up differently. You hit the standard they set, and you were genuinely proud of it. You thought, this time it's going to be different. This time it'll be enough. But now there's something new you're not doing. A new way you're falling short, a new version of you they need before they can fully approve of you. No matter how far you run, the finish line keeps moving. This is called moving the goalposts, the continuous shifting of expectations to ensure you can never fully succeed. And therefore, you remain in a permanent state of striving for their approval. If you're always slightly not enough, you're always working to close a gap that they control. Your energy, your focus, your sense of self-worth, all of it gets directed toward winning their validation, rather than evaluating whether their validation is even something worth having. And here's the cruelest part. This tactic punishes growth. Every time you improve, instead of being celebrated, you're handed a new requirement. Over time, this systematically dismantles your sense of self-worth, because no matter what you achieve, the internal experience is always failure. How to protect yourself? Healthy relationships have stable expectations. They celebrate your growth rather than immediately demanding more of it. Someone who genuinely loves you wants you to feel like enough, not eventually, now. These tactics are not rare. They're not limited to obviously abusive situations or extreme cases. They exist in ordinary relationships, in workplaces, in families, in the people we love most. And understanding them is not about becoming paranoid or deciding that every difficult person in your life is a manipulator. Most people are simply imperfect, doing their best with the tools they were given, often using patterns they learned from people who use those same patterns on them. But some people are not. And now you can tell the difference. The most powerful thing you can do after watching this video is trust yourself. Trust your discomfort. Trust the pattern you've been watching and explaining away. Trust the part of you that knew something was off, long before you had the language for it. That part of you is right. You're not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You are not the problem. You are someone who finally has the code. And that changes everything. If this video helped you finally name something you couldn't before, share it with someone who needs to hear it. You might change how they see their own life. Every week on Human Algorithm, we decode the hidden programs running beneath human behavior, the ones that shape how we think, how we love, how we get controlled, and how we break free. Subscribe. Because you've already proven you're someone who wants to understand, and the next video goes even deeper.